So the way that kind of meditation comes into this, and Kura can add on a little bit in a moment, but is we start to create some space. So if we are just constantly reacting to our environment, meditation can help us create that space. So in meditation, what we do is we become the observer. We notice that there are thoughts, because there almost always are, and then as we do it more, we can kind of witness these thoughts, and then we decide, are we going to follow that one? Are we going to let that become an overanalyzation? And then once we start to do this within ourselves, we can do it with others. So if, I was to say something to Cora, and Cora kind of like wondered what that was, or vice versa, we could kind of like overthink it, or we could just say, okay, it's just a comment, So instead of the narration about our lives dictating how we respond to ourselves and the world, we get to instead tune in to what is happening in our body. Instead of overemphasizing, oh, she said this, or he did that, we can say, how did that make me feel? What's happening in here? And then you can decide, do I need to have a conversation with her or not? So this is where mindfulness, meditation, yoga, the use and understanding of your breath can really start to shift your experience inside.
And I heard this really interesting fact the other day, that curiosity is linked to the neurotransmitter dopamine. So just by getting curious, so even in your practice, like in your body, what's happening in my body? You're hitting yourself with a little dopamine hit. And so we have a lot of agency over what happens in our body. And at the same time, there's all these systems that are happening naturally, but if we can get them to a place, if we can restore the wholeness that is already there, that's where vitality, that's where true wellness happens. And it doesn't have to be putting something into your body. It's the choices that we make every day, which is, so much tied to yoga as well. And when we think of, so this polyvagal theory is really recent. It's Stephen Porges, who's a doctor. He proposed it just in '94, so it's not really that old. But again, when we think of a community, so in a safe or well-functioning social nervous system, we will feel seen, understood, heard, cared for. But when this social nervous system is not in a healthy state, that's when we start to compare. We don't feel comfortable being ourselves. We start to feel isolated within a group. And if we're not able to be in a group because of social distancing, then we kind of can lose connection. So we have to get a bit creative. How can we still find that we can connect to our social nervous system even though there are all these obstacles at the moment? So if you can find, like, it doesn't even have to be yoga, but if you can like lean into your practices, whether it's playing with your cat or going on a walk with nature or FaceTiming with your grandma every week, I don't know, whatever it may be, if you can kind of remember, like, okay, I'm starting to feel this imbalance, or I'm feeling stressed, to come back to these things, like this is the practice. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's yoga. And then we can over a longer period of time, we see, okay, this is making a difference. And you know what to come back to when your states fluctuate.